So the MLB trade deadline has officially passed about 40 minutes ago by the time this is uploaded, roughly an hour ago. And the Rangers did a whole lot of nothing. They made one trade, and we'll get into that in a second. But I did want to point out that, just to clarify, this was not a fail because they didn't get Juan Soto or because they didn't get Pablo Lopez or Louise Castillo or whoever you may have wanted. This is not a fail because of that. And I've said lots of the trades, the big ones, were likely out of scope because the Rangers are not a win now team. They're just finishing up the rebuild. And obviously it's disappointing, but you can't let this blind you to what they've just done. They had one of the best drafts recently, and they did all of the main work last offseason, getting John Gray, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. That was the bulk of the work. Obviously, a lot of guys on the way as well. Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, who we could see next year. Still don't fully know. Cole Winn, Cole Raggins, Bubba Thompson, the list goes on and on. So don't let this blind you to that. And also, yes, I am using my own tweet in my own video as a little bit of self-promo. But these are my thoughts. It's truly, you can't let it blind you to what has just happened before. So just wanted to clarify that. But moving on to what did happen was Matt Bush was traded for left-handed pitcher Antoine Kelly. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. And infielder Mark Mathias from Milwaukee. And Mark Mathias, looking at the numbers, not the main trade piece there. Antoine Kelly is the big trade piece. He's 22 and high A. And I believe he's got a pretty high strikeout rate. So he was the main part of that trade. And, it's a pretty fine trade. Matt Bush has 2 more years of control, I think, in terms of his contract. So, Milwaukee is a win-now team. They've been competing the last few seasons. I think they're in first place because is it the NL Central they're in? So I think they're in first. Maybe St. Louis is near there. I don't fully know, to be honest with you. But it's a fine trade, sure. The only thing that really disappointed me was not seeing Matt Moore get traded, and that is just because he is at the peak of his value, at least in the time that the Rangers have had him. This is actually his second stint with Texas, for those who don't know. They had him in like 2017, 2018-ish, and he was okay. They tried to use him as a starter, though, and obviously he has found his niche in the bullpen. So it's good to see him doing well, but I really thought they were going to trade him and maybe get 2 more prospects, even 3 back like they just did with Matt Bush. But nothing seemed to happen. And I want to point out as well, the biggest reason that I think the Rangers didn't get any starting pitching is because of the Luis Castillo trade. And that is because the Mariners, in my opinion, I think they overpaid for Luis Castillo. I actually don't have that trade up at the moment, but if you go back and look at it, they gave up quite a few players. It was almost a trade that I could have thought they almost could have got Soto for, and we'll get into that in a second. But it was quite a haul they got for Castillo, and sure, he's the best starting pitcher available, or was, so I get it. And Mariners are certainly in win-now mode. They haven't made the playoffs in 20 years. They've had a couple good seasons in a row now, and they're hanging on, I think, to a wild card spot at the moment. But because of that, it drove up the prices for everybody. And I had heard different rumors about Pablo Lopez and what teams wanted for Montes, who went to the Yankees, and it was stiff competition. And you got to realize, for a lot of these guys, they would have at least wanted Josh Young. Some of them might have even wanted Leiter. I had heard reportedly that Leiter was going to be in a Soto package if the Rangers did it, and I think it's great that they didn't then, because you just started fixing the starting pitching. So the last thing you want to do is trade for Soto. And I fully realize that Soto is he is a once in a generation player. But the Rangers just, like I said, they just got back to fixing their farm system for pitching. So personally, that would have been a mistake to give up Leiter, especially I feel like that was a large reason that Kumar Rocker agreed to sign here, is because my buddy Jack Leiter is there. We can pitch together in the rotation again someday. So tangent aside, that is why I think they didn't end up doing anything. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't trade Matt Moore, but they at least made a little move with Matt Bush. I'm also glad that they didn't trade Martin Perez, because he explicitly said, like, if y'all trade me, I am not signing back here, like, ever again. So I'm glad they stuck with that. But wanted to take a look at the Juan Soto trade, the absolutely internet-breaking trade. Not only did they get Juan Soto, but they also got Josh Bell. And when this news broke this morning/afternoon, there were like a million different rumors, changes in the trade, but this was ultimately what they got. The reason I'm bringing this up is to kind of show a comparison of what the Rangers would have had to do based on these prospects. So you got Juan Soto and Josh Bell in exchange for Luke Voigt. That was an interesting situation because it was supposed to be Eric Hosmer, and they wanted to dump his contract. Nationals were like, sure, whatever. But Hosmer had a limited no-trade clause, so he had the Nationals on that list and actually rejected the trade to the Nationals, meaning they subbed in Luke Voigt. They're like, okay, Luke, you're going. C.J. Abrams, outfielders Robert Hassel III, James Wood, left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, and right-handed pitcher, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sorry, Harleen Susanna. So that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players for 2. Now, roughly, this would have been something like, just going one-to-one comparison, it would have been the Rangers' top prospect, which is Jack Leiter, number 3 prospect, Ezekiel Duran, number 4 prospect, Justin Foscue, and number 14 prospect, which in our case is Anthony Gutierrez. But you'd be giving up Leiter, Duran, and Foscue on top of Gutierrez, and on top of 2 major leaguers, which in this case, that could have been, instead of Luke Voigt, maybe Nathaniel Lowe, and instead of C.J. Abrams, maybe, I don't know, maybe like Leody Taveras or something. It would have been an insane package. So I couldn't pull up the Padres prospect list because they already updated it. So none of those guys are on there anymore. If you go to San Diego, it says Luis Campusano is the top prospect now. All those guys are gone. I mean, they updated it pretty quickly. Actually, I guess they forgot one, Max Ferguson. It just says Red Sox. That's an interesting one. But yeah, if we go to Washington, they should have a pretty beefy list here now, right? They got their new number 1 guy, Robert Hassel, James Wood. Let's see, who else was it? Mackenzie Gore. How is he not up here? Am I missing? Is he right in front of my face? If I do a little Control F for Gore, why is he not on here? I thought he went to the Nationals. Well, I guess they haven't updated it fully, but that's why I couldn't pull up their list to do a direct comparison, because it's not updated yet. So anyway, that was kind of a long tangent, but my point is this deal would have been very unrealistic, and I fully understand that you have to go for these generational guys. But it's more pressing for a win-now team. And I keep saying win-now team. A team that is competing is all I mean by that. If you're in the wild card race every year, if you're top of the division every year, or in the period of time at least, that is a win-now team. So, tangents aside, Rangers traded Matt Bush, got a couple prospects, and I don't think anything they did is a fail. Their farm system is still fully bolstered. and it's going to be good going into next year, 2024. Next year, in my opinion, and I'll save this talk for a different video, but in my opinion, next year should be the first competing year, opening that window, maybe a wild card chase a little bit. In 2024, we'll be talking division, hopefully. So, anyway, I spent like half this video talking about Juan Soto, but let me know what y'all think in the comments of how the Rangers did. Who did you want to see them get? And do you agree with my take that this is not a fail? So, with that being said, appreciate y'all watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.